Yes, guys, President here, see television, right? Sorry for the delay on the analysis of Sunday's game between Team Bund and Team Gay, right? Team Bund, which was managed and picked by Zarik Bundies, and Team Gay, which was picked and managed by myself, right? It's been a busy week, right, lads? Even last week, it was hectic every day. There was something going on. Even this week now, especially with Wednesday footy successfully kicking off, we're always busy and there's always something going on. As you can see, the beard is getting bigger. The hair is again, growing wisely, as they say. And I got my famous Friends t-shirt on, right? So, guys, back to the game, right? It was 2-2. I'd say a hard game. Both teams, right, didn't want to lose. That was one good thing about the game, right? Both teams were just poof getting in there, and you could see it meant a lot. Like so, Zarik, even though people don't really speak to you much, and they ignore you, they did play their hearts out for you, or it could be for Doc or whatever. They didn't want to lose because, and that showed in the performance. It was like gritty performance, really, from both teams. Both teams were fired up. I mean, all 18 men were fired up. No one on that pitch, right, was like, yep, I'm taking it easy this week, which was good. That was the main thing to see. I mean, like, if you have fight and determination, you generally get good performances from people. Yeah, the scoreline didn't, reflect the anticipated prediction of the match, or, we would have liked more goals, but you can't have it all the time. But it was a good game, guys. First of all, I'd like to big up Bundy's and congratulate him for such a hard game. He picked a good side, and I always got respect for him as an opponent because, he's quite clever. He knows what he's doing. He picked a strong team, even though I wanted to experiment with a few hypotheses of mine, like i.e., ensuring that Rizzi and Nemo can play up together. Talat and Asad are really worthy of a starting place without hiding in goals and prone to errors. Also, I wanted to end Burby's and Vidic's winning 5-match unbeaten streak. Also, I wanted to show that Terrell was not unbeatable, and some of it got proved, some of it never. But it was a good effort on everyone's behalf, which I'm really proud of my team. So I can't really say much about that. And a lot of other guys, right, saying, "Yep, we're gonna batter them." Nav messed up the teams, and as long as that was one hypothesis, which now I can shut you guys up and say, yep, we didn't lose and we didn't get battered. We should have won, could have won, but we never. But I mean, I knew it would be a close game. I knew we wouldn't get battered like people were saying 10-0 and 15-0. But, I could have picked a better team. But again, I wanted to experiment and, show a few people's worthy of Sunday footy. So that what happened. Game-wise, guys, not much to talk about. I mean, it was a tight game, cat and mouse, really. I mean, Oranges started off, no, sorry, not Oranges, Blues. Blues started off really well in the early 15, 20, 25 minutes. Took a deserved lead. I mean, they were dominating the ball. And, when they had the ball, players like Bo, Terrell, and even Buckers, right, they looked more dangerous. As if when the Oranges have a ball, they were just, more being contained to long shots and just like, he-hos, which I found. But the Oranges did struggle at the beginning to get their feet. But I mean, as the game progressed, the Oranges got back in the game. I mean, possession was never a problem, but they were looking more dangerous and more threatening with the ball. And then towards, after after Blues took the lead, I mean, towards 45 minutes, the threat of the Blues died down a little bit. Like, they weren't as threatening as they were. But, having said that, Blues still, looked could have scored a few times, which they didn't capitalize on, which could have cost them the game. But the goals as well, guys. Talet's blunder at Azad running the ball out, uh, got caught out. Terrell whacked it, scored. Really, Talet, I think, got scared of the shot, thinking, oh shit, this is Terrell. So, he didn't wait for the shot, and I think he dived way before, thinking it's going to be a pinger, but it wasn't. 1-0. Then we equalised Abid with, a deserved equaliser. Okay, yeah, deflection of Doc. I think that's the only thing he done wrong all game, Doc. And, a deserved equaliser. And then Nemo again put it in the bottom right corner. Maybe Zahir should have saved it if he stayed on his feet and dived, but he decided to try using his feet. And then Gabby's equaliser again, Blues pressured. Assad got caught napping. I mean, he looked at Gabby, then he looked away, then he went towards, I think, the Buckers or someone on the wing, and then he stopped from him, ran towards Terrell on the right wing, and left Gabby standing. So 2-all. And that's it, really, guys, for the goal-wise. And, it could have gone either way. I mean, both teams had the chances to win it afterwards, but none of them took it, and I think that's what let the game down, really. I mean, the strikers from both sides didn't really finish off their chances. I mean, if they did, we would have had a different result and more goals. Also, guys, what's to talk about? Some talking points, yeah. Blues, I reckon Blues could have won it easily. They would have battered us if Bo and Terrell, or even Buckers, played more centrally. I mean, what was happening was the Blues played a formation which we haven't really seen on Sunday footy before, not by plan but just by off chance. They played a 3-2-3 where Vidic and Kyle were sitting deep as DMs, literally next to the defenders, and then you'd have Bo, Buckers and Terrell quite high up the pitch. So that again, right, I mean, they played three strikers really up front and it didn't work, mainly because the reason why it didn't work was because Vidic and Kyle were so deep, right, that they were literally by the 6-yard box. So they'd win the ball, and then when they released the ball, Terrell and Bo, and even Buckers at times, was deep in their own half. So by the time they carried the ball all the way forward, they'd get closed down, and they would lose it. Whereas if the Blues, they could have done that, stayed with that formation, but if they played a higher line, and especially Vidic and Kyle carried him more to the last third and then give it to Bo and Terrell, it would have been much harder for them, and it would have been much harder for the Orange's defence to deal with, because we didn't have no DMs. So they never took advantage of that. And I think that's where they lost it in that sense, because if they set out correctly, they had enough people on their team who could hurt the Oranges, especially with the space and the openings. The space with the Oranges let the Blues have. So that's where they did really mess up. Also, what else can I say? Yeah, Oranges, right? They didn't really utilize the way the Blues were set up. I mean, the Blues were set up and they parked the bus. So they had like 5, if not 6 mans behind the ball at all times. Doc was like a second goalkeeper. Vidic and Kyle again were like, centre backs. And then you had Gabby and Burby all pushed in. So you had like 5, 6 mans at a time. And what I found with the Oranges is that they panicked when the ball came to Rizzi and Nemo. I mean, Abid, Skippy and Shahid, they had a lot of ground to cover in the middle, and they were covering it well. But what they didn't do, Nemo and Rizzi, is that they'd get the ball, they'd do a quick 1-2, and then they'd ping it, hoping to get a shot on. And I mean, Zahir made some good saves, but still, they didn't really hold it long enough to play it back to Abid and Skippy and then run off him again. That was one thing they messed up on. Another thing which they messed up on, right? Gabby was having a flipping stinker at the left back, and really no one, besides Skippy a few times, no one really challenged, or no one really tested him at the channels. I mean, Burby played well, but still, when you got 5 people, especially 4 central mans, you need to go around them and then whip it across sometimes as well. I mean, that was too predictable. I know Skippy tried a few crosses in and shied by, but you had to do more of it, again, to just dislodge the defence, because Doc and Co was sitting very comfortably in defence, position-wise. I mean, they weren't really made to move and cross-check and cause a bit of confusion. So that's one thing which Oranges lacked, and again, it could have proved costly for the Oranges. But never mind, guys. I mean, there's something to take in the future. Also, guys, a few performance praises I got to admit. For the Blues, Doc, you were faultless minus that deflection. You played well, marshalled your defence well, and you dealt with a lot of shots, and you captained the team well as well. Also, Burby, even though you had a bit of you done more than a tantrum, you done your sly business and some stupid long balls. Defending wise, you did defend well. I mean, you got to give credit when credit is due for the right reasons and for footballing reasons, Burb. You defended really well. When you went up front, again, it was hit and miss, but then again, you were just like there to make the numbers up, and I think Doc put you up there more because you were moaning than actually because of your striking ability. But in defence, Burby, you kept your team at bay, and you made it really hard, and you are a decent fullback on your day if you just concentrate and play with a bit of passion rather than worrying about who's up front. Also, Zahir in goals made some excellent saves. He's worth mentioning. He kept him in the game early on. A shy and quiet kid, but still, when it mattered, he pulled off some really match saving saves, really. So well done, Zahir. Also, Bo and Terrell, yeah, they were all right. Hit and miss, touch and go. Moments of brilliances, some amazing passes. But again, like Zarik said, they didn't really win him the match. And, them players of them standards, right, you do expect match winning goals or performances, but it never happened. So they were all right. Also from and Vidic and Kyle, yeah, you just stuck back, done your job, tackled, but again, room for improvement in future use. In a game like that, just push that little bit tad forward. So when you get the ball, push it a bit forward, even if it's just past the halfway line. So making sure that Bo, Terrell, and your strikers don't have to drop too deep for it. So that's one thing to take up. For the Oranges, guys, I was really impressed with Skippy, especially earlier on. He was the only one who come firing off the blocks. He was on it. He was making the moves. He was looking to take players on, putting the challenges in. I like the way Skippy played on Sunday. Okay, he might have taken a few superhero shots, which, we should have passed at times, but still, a lot of positive stuff from Skippy, good effort, and, he done well, really, especially when people doubted him earlier on. Also, I got told Abid had a really good game. He was difficult to mark, and his passing was spot on. He knew when to pass, when to hold it, and stuff like that. Maybe his fitness let him down, running up and down a few times when, when Nemo and Rizzy would hold the ball. He wasn't getting up quick enough, but never mind. He scored a good goal. I was impressed with Abid's first game back. Shaq, well done, mate, for marshalling the defense that you had, and not being phased by the arrival and playing against of Terrell and Bo together. You done really well, mate, and you kept your cool as well. Also, Shahid, I wouldn't say he played amazing, but he had more involvement and he was slightly more effective this week than he has been a lot of weeks because he played in that little DM role. I mean, his decision making at time was terrible again, typical Shahid, but at least he would win the ball, drive forward, and he'd have to pass it. So he was more useful this week than he has been in other weeks. Maybe that's one for him to play for in other games. Who you never know. And my man of the match, guys, right, is Talat this week. He made a blundering goals. His position in Sunday Footy and his contribution as a player was put into doubt before this game by many people that he'd hiding goals and all sorts. But Talat, you proved everyone wrong. You come out of goals, you could have quit and you could have had your head down, but you come out right and you had an almost faultless display in defence as well as carving openings up front with your through balls as well that you played to Rizzi and a few others and even a shot or two. So Talat, you bossed people about, you badged them off, you were fighting, just like I said, you had a bit of aggression to you. Again, Bo and Terrell didn't phase you. You were showing them the same respect as you would 20 years ago. So Talat, I'm well impressed, with your game. You deserve man of the match. Normally last pick player, but you didn't play like a last pick player. So Talat, well done. And the question is now, even though you've been offered a new 10-year contract, you got to do this now regularly, week in, week out. I know you done it for me. I appreciate it. But you need to do it on every Sunday, regardless who's captain. You've got the ability to do it. Can you just carry on, yeah, guys? Also, guys, a few off-the-field issues, major issues, which need mentioning, First of all, guys, Burby, I could constantly hear you moan, all games saying, oh, Buck is a shit, you're moaning to Doc, whatever, You're giving him deliberate long balls that he can't control, And you before he even gets the ball, you can hear yourself saying, "Oh, fucking changing me, shit! You haven't got a clue what you're doing." Blah 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 blah. Okay, that's acceptable type borderline. I mean, it's very unprofessional, childish, but again, that's fine. But Burby, right? If you're gonna do stuff like that, right, that's one thing. But then don't come on a group and then, in order to defend yourself, you're trying to take the piss out of Doc, saying, "Yeah, Doc was shit. He ain't got a clue. Da 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 da. Whatever." Brother, listen, you're lucky Doc never flipped on you in the game and didn't give you a clip around here. Do you know what I'm trying to say, But that to me, right, that goes from being that I mean, like you've just gone now from being annoying to conniving. You know what I mean, Burb? That's a big jump. And really, Burb, right? I mean, like Bundy's and others have said, right? And that brings up your whole attitude towards members of Sunday Footy. No one's questioning your dedication to Sunday Footy or anything like that, right? But your attitude and your behaviour towards a lot of the mans, right, Burb? No, I'm not talking from person, I'm talking generally now as a third person watching. It's terrible, Burb. I mean, if you get told to play in defence, yeah, then you need to, like, some games you can play striker up front. Right? Buckers is your best friend. Sometimes if Buckers is playing and there's already Terrell and Bo up front or whatever, you got to take one for the team, take one for Sunday Footy, and play back one game. You know what I mean? I think you're more concerned with how many goals you score than how many games you win. You got an amazing record. You're joint top, and you're doing dirty ones, trying to get players to play back and whatever. But I mean, it's not right. Like some games you have to play back. But Burby, and it's not just me who notices this. Other people are noticing it, and it's a big issue. So you know what I mean, Burb. You can't do this, right? And for this reason, right, Burb, you're having a rest this Sunday, right? Because your attitude. You need to get your brain thinking and start thinking of Sunday Footy and a team player. You've been rested 2 or 3 times before, and like to me, each rest only works for a couple of weeks, and you're back to your normal self. Do you know what I mean, babe? So really, you need to think about it, right, babe? I'm not just dropping you for the sake of dropping you, right, and resting you. I'm resting you for the sake, right, that you think about what you're doing and what implications it has on everyone in that pitch and 17 other players. So please, babe, right? I mean, I don't want to have to keep dropping you every time and resting you every 4 or 5 weeks just because, you're being an idiot, really, or whatever you want to call it. Think about it and just do it and let your football do the talking. Do you know what I'm saying? People praise you enough as it is, especially in defence. You're playing really well in defence, and then you just goes and spoils it. You just get your performances get mad just because of a bit of stupidity. So what if you didn't score a goal? It didn't matter. Just relax, okay, babe? So that's that, right? Sorry, babe. It is what it is. Also, Asad, again, your name was and I seen footage of you again. Your name was mentioned again. You done the same thing that you done 2 weeks ago. George. You come across like all this, humble brother, and you're a top guy. But on the football field, George, you gotta control your temper. You know what I mean, bro? I mean, any little thing, it gets you going, and it's the wrong thing at the wrong time at the wrong place. It boils down to the thing, right? If your captain asks you to go in and you've only been in once, then, brother, people got to do it. I mean, we can't we're not there to saying everyone goes in for 10 minutes. If you're not good enough, then you got to go in twice. It's happened to me. So I mean, I can't favor you on that. And it's not just that. I mean, it's one thing being told to go in and say, "No, listen, mate, how about someone else goes in," or whatever. But I said, the way you behave and the way you go on, right, is unacceptable. I mean, the last time it was borderline, and Ishi even said, "Listen, allow him," right? That, okay, he done what he done, but just leave it. But this time, I said, I mean, how many more times am I going to allow it? You need a rest as well and calm yourself down. Do you know what I mean? I said, you need to have a 1 week break. You need to calm yourself down. And I'm not picking on you personally, right? Or no one's told me, but the way I'm looking at it, right, is for the sake of Sunday Footy. So this is a message to everyone, not just you. I said, I'm not making an example out of you, but everyone needs to realize, right, guys, if your captain asks you to go in, even if it's for 2 10-minute spells or 15-minute spells, right, and you give him the large and start threatening him and cursing him, you're going to get rested as well. It goes to anyone. And that goes to the likes of your first pick players as well. So, if you superstars get asked by your captain to go in, even if it's the start of the game and towards the end of the game, and you give it a large, it's going to the same happen to you. Also, if it's an inferior captain, someone who hasn't been captain before or of a lesser age, and he's asking players to go in and they're flipping threatening him and all sorts, is not on. I can't have that in Sunday footy. So again, I said, you need to have a rest. And your anger management, right, especially of the last 3-4 weeks, between me and you, there's been a few incidences where you've lost it, right? Regardless what it's for, you've lost it big time. Effing, blinding, cunt this, cunt that. So really, you're lucky Nemo didn't escalate it. Nemo could have easily carried that on and made a big issue, but he never. And really, I said, you need a rest as well. So Burby and I said, both of you need a rest this week and to just calm yourself down and reassess, right, your participation and your contribution to Sunday footy as a whole, please. And then I hope you come back and you're more stronger and better in all aspects. So that's that, guys. And next week, captains will be, well, not next week, live picks will take place Thursday at 8 p.m. and captains will be Doc and Ifta. So that should be an interesting cracker. I'm going with Doc. And if that's a draw, then the next week we've got a battle of the Kote and the last two remaining captains of Zarik and Nemo. So that's that. Also, guys, there's been an issue of fake injuries, right? Kaiser, you fell down the stairs on a Friday and hurt your knee, yet you were running up and down and filming and doing all sorts on Sunday and your knee looked fine. That's a question mark. Saj, again, your groin. You genuinely probably hurt it on a Wednesday. I don't know. But guys, right, the rules are, right, if you're not injured, right, if you're not injured on Sunday footy, so imagine, you're injured outside of Sunday footy, please, you're not expected to return straight away. I also, right, you might be thinking, okay, then I'll play injured. But if you play injured, and you get caught on camera limping or struggling, then again, it's going to be the same situation. So please, guys, you want to play footy elsewhere and do whatever and go up the stairs and, jump out of bed, whatever. You do it at your own risk. Klosnich got hurt playing Sunday footy. So, the least I can do is get him back in, give him first refusal and back in because he did get injured playing Sunday footy. So guys, like I said, you play at your own risk. And, don't get offended then if someone else is taking your place because, you got injured elsewhere. Because, I need 18 players by Thursday, guys. So I got to think of it from that view. No disrespect. And also, there was a few issues, right, guys, that and Gabby and a few others that didn't want to play defense Sunday. Guys, right, any of you, the 18, right, could be asked to play in defense by the captain. But it's not a problem. If you don't want to play in defense, right, or, you don't like defense, or you're too good for defense, or anything like that, right, guys, let me know. Give me some notice before the game, or even tell me just like a day before the game. I'll get it sorted. You can fucking stay home and just watch via YouTube on your internet, and I'll get someone else in. Because, guys, you don't want to play defense, and don't play Sunday footy. So that's how it goes, guys. Just give me some notice, and I can get a replacement. Otherwise, shut up and get on with it. Even people like Gabby complaining. Well, mate, listen, you get put in defence, you play in defence. It's not rocket science, is it? So that's that, guys. Plodded along now. It's been 23 minutes, chit-chatting, talking breeze, as they say. And I'll leave it to you then, guys, and see you in the week. Team Can, Sunday footy, bada-ba-ba.